It is the best spot to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up here on the screen with your host on the YouTube channel, better than Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, any of those outlets. Make sure to support by helping us out on the YouTube channel. My man, what is going on? Happy Sunday, happy New Year, and let's get into it.
Yes, sir. I'm happy to get into it with you. Obviously, we got a big New Year's weekend coming up, but this is obviously getting to you. I believe on, well, I guess what Saturday when the action kicks off. We got the Cowboys and the Lions on Saturday, and then New Year's Eve we got a full slate. But yeah, man, I'm happy to be here. Happy that we'll get to enjoy our New Year's Eve weekend. Per se, have some drinks and get into the new year the right way.
Sir.
But yeah, man, I'm happy to get this in before the weekend starts. And
you still a big New Year's guy?
Big New Year's. I'm not a big...
Have you ever been a big New Year's guy?
I'm not.
Or has it disappeared with age?
I would say like the getting slaughtered on New Year's Eve. That part of it has disappeared because I used to be a party holic, if that's like a term to use, but I used to party until the sun comes up, man. Like I was nocturnal when it comes to that shit. But nowadays I got a wife, I got a dog, basically a kid. And we last couple of years we've just done like really good food and drinks at home, but we try different things. I'm not about going out on New Year's Eve anymore. I think that's where it's changed. Is like
I don't think I've ever been, man. I mean, I think even when I turned 21, I'm going on 26 now, but even from 21 to 25, I think I've really only ever done house parties. Like I've never been interested in like, I love the bar. I love going to bars. I've never been interested in a bar on New Year's. Ever. Like I just don't.
I agree. Like I've
done it like I've gone to one like earlier in the day on New Year's Eve and then like went to the party, but like I've never been the person that's at the bar at midnight. Yeah.
It's so jam-packed. The drinks are gonna be so expensive. You're gonna have cover charges. Like it turns into like this whole thing of this is not why I go out. You know what I mean? And so to that point, I do feel you, man. I'd rather, whether it's with like my girl and family or whether it's with just friends, like I would rather just hang around close people and people I know already and just chat and go.
Not bumping into any drunk 21-year-olds.
That's the thing. When I was younger, I used to like the rowdiness, the rage of it. But like these days, I don't need to put myself in situations where I could get bumped the wrong way and get angry and have a bad New Year's. So I'm good on that, man. I like to play it safe these days.
Absolutely, man. Let's start off today's show with our updated Week 17 power rankings here. I'll present number 10 here in a second. But, man, as you can see, again, pretty similar, I would say, all the way up until number 9. I'm interested to see if we've kind of flip-flopped at 9 and 10, what you have down there. But, obviously, we both had the Baltimore Ravens coming in at number 1 on our power rankings, man. When you knock off the previous number 1 in the fashion that they did on the road, best record in the National Football League, seems to be the clear number 1 seed. Well, not so clear. They played the Dolphins this week, but you get my point. It's trending towards the Baltimore Ravens being the number 1 seed in the AFC. Best record, just beat the other team with the best record this past Christmas night. They go in at number 1. Niners, Eagles, Dolphins, Lions, Bills, Cowboys, Browns, all jumbled up in a group, man. So let's get into number 10 here. And yes, we do have the same. I have the Rams coming in at 10 behind the Chiefs.
Yes, sir.
You have the Chiefs coming in shortly behind the LA Rams. But yeah, not much disparity, really no disparity here on the list, which I think it's funny and interesting because I think in weeks past, we've been similar in, I'd say, the top 5 or so. And then we'd really deferred down low. And now with 2 weeks to play, you're kind of getting to this point where, okay, here we are. The one thing I will say to throw it to you here is there's 2 divisions, AFC South and NFC South. Both whoever wins those divisions are going to host a playoff game. We got neither inside, none of those 8 teams inside our top 10. Does that surprise you at all? No Texans, no Colts, no Bucks, no whoever.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little surprising given where the Jags were maybe just 3 weeks ago, right? And this was a team that we probably had in our top 6, top 7 at least at that point, and they've just really fallen from grace. Some of it's been injuries, some of it's been just bad quarterback play, bad coaching, whatever the case may be, but they're in a very bad spot right now. That is the only team from that division that I could even consider. And I say consider, I use that word very lightly here because I just simply wouldn't take the 8-7 Jags over even the LA Rams at 8-7. You have the Chiefs, while they are struggling this year, they still beat the Jags. So I'm with you there. So yeah, I think that's the only team that you could really consider of late. And we talked about it on our show earlier this week. The Texans, we look at them as that team in that division that would really be the team that kind of scares you if they did end up making the playoffs, not necessarily the Jags, just because of CJ Stroud and the way he's playing. So when I look at it from that frame of mind, like obviously I had the Texans in this top 10 at some point throughout the season, but they've also fallen from grace. You had some tough games without CJ Stroud, so we don't know what they are. And then you go over to the NFC South, right, with the Panthers, the Bucks. The Bucks are that team right now that you could consider putting in there because they have played some really good football. You look at Baker Mayfield's numbers; his numbers are actually really good this year. But once again, am I going to take the Bucks over, say, the Rams right now? And I think the Rams are kind of that team that is the kicker in this situation, right? That's the team that you would probably remove and replace in each of our rankings here, I would say. But I think the Rams, I have the Rams over the Chiefs even right now. I think the Rams are playing some really good football. I think Matthew Stafford, more specifically, is playing some really good football to where I would take the Rams, maybe over the Chiefs. Like, that's why they are over the Chiefs in my power rankings right now. I would maybe take the Rams over the Chiefs right now. And that just speaks to how low I am on the Chiefs right now. But
I
also
agree, man.
how good the Rams are playing right now. So to answer your question, am I surprised holistically that we don't have teams from the AFC or the NFC South on here? No, because I think those are the two divisions that have been the most mediocre this season and have not been able to separate themselves from one another.
It's funny because we just crushed the Chiefs on our previous show, and rightfully so. And we talked about how they're losing that leash. But again, if it was anybody else under center, this team would not be top 10.
Agreed.
Not even close. Like, we just crushed him and said it's clearly getting to Patrick Mahomes, and he's mentally frustrated with this team and this offense, and it's leaking out into his turnovers and his play. And it's like we're tightening that leash and saying they don't deserve the same respect they've had in years past, and still slightly giving them a little bit of respect, right? Because if anybody else had lost 3 of their last 5 and just lost at home to the Las Vegas Raiders on Christmas Day, and we're sitting at 9-6, right? This is not like they're 10-5, right? Or 11-4, and they're just on a cold streak. They're 9-6. They're a potential 4 seed in the AFC. Any other team would not be inside our top 10 heading into Week 17.
Yeah, so I agree.
I do find it interesting.
With the 9-6 record in mind, right? Like, obviously they have one of the better records in the NFL, but I think that they're playing below what the record indicates, right? In the last 6 games or so for the Kansas City Chiefs. And so to your point, I think if we were going off of like trends right now, you would maybe have to put in what, off the top of my head, Tampa Bay comes to mind.
Absolutely. Pittsburgh? It's close, right?
It's crazy. Close. It's crazy because you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Chiefs, and you have to ask yourself, like, obviously the Chiefs have Travis Kelce, so that's an outlier. But George Pickens, like, do the Chiefs have anybody like George Pickens that could take a game over the way he just did?
No, against and they don't have Deontay Johnson.
They don't have a Deontay Johnson. They have a Travis Kelce. They have a Pacheco, but. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a good question. Are they on the same caliber as the Pittsburgh Steelers right now? We'll find out. They play Cincinnati this weekend. So
the downfall.
We'll see
But yeah,
that comparison
I
next
don't,
week, really.
not a whole lot of explanation here. I think if you, at least the top 8, to me, there's no argument. You cannot
I
argue
agree.
with me that someone else should be top 8, or that someone we left off the list should even be top 8. If someone we left off the list comes in at number 10 for you, maybe.
Yeah.
But at this point, I think it's just getting ironed out, right? I think it's just the flow of an NFL season. 2 weeks left, playoff spots are starting to get locked in, right? So here you are, your top 10. Ravens at the top for both of us. The Chiefs and the Rams flip-flopped coming down at the end for us, and everyone else in between, similar or one spot off.
Yeah.
So those are your updated Week 17 power rankings for myself and Scotty here on NFL Turf Talk. Man, let's get into Week 17 because there's a lot to discuss. No Monday night game on New Year's Day. That's saved for the college season, right? So we're sitting here with 14 Sunday games. Now, obviously, this is airing Sunday morning, so we will not give you picks for the Cowboys and the Lions because game's over, fellas.
Yeah, already
ladies. So here we are, New Year's Eve, December 31st.
Let me ask you,
yes,
real
sir.
quick, Dylan.
Yeah.
Who do you want to win out of that Lions Cowboys game?
It's crazy, isn't it?
And who do you think is going to win? I guess would be
it is crazy that an Eagles fan should never say he wants the Dallas Cowboys to win a game. But I think I want the Cowboys to win the game because here's why. You want the 2 seed. You want home field until the NFC Championship game if necessary, right?
If possible.
But I'd also be curious because I haven't done the math before the show on what the matchups would look like in the 2 versus 3 seed for the Eagles in Wild Card Weekend, right? Like, is the 2 seed a more favorable matchup versus the 7, or would we rather play the 6? Like, I haven't seen who's sitting in there right now.
So that
now, would be my question.
The 7 is Seattle, the 6 is LA Rams. So I would rather play Seattle personally.
Yeah, I agree. Even though they just beat us and we beat the Rams early in the year, right now I'd rather play that team again and get another knock at them in Philly this time, right? So I would agree. Yeah, so I guess the 2 seed, yeah. So to answer your question, I do want Dallas to win this week to beat the Lions and help the Eagles potentially get to that number 2 seed if we can win out. Who do I think is going to win? Give me the Cowboys. I think they are a completely different team at home in Jerry World compared to on the road. They're tougher. They're more physical. Dak has more success. You look at that Lions defense, man. I mean, Nick Mullins just threw for over 400 against them. Yeah, he turned the ball over a lot, but Dak's not going to do that. That defense that defense is potentially going to get shredded in Jerry World on Saturday night.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you there. One, you want the Cowboys to win, so the Lions have a worse record than the Eagles. And then on top of it, I would even go this far. Like, if the Lions can beat Dallas in Dallas, I mean, that would be a monumental type of win for them. And I think even on the other end, a monumental type of loss for the Dallas Cowboys as well to drop the three in a row, right? But more importantly, losing this game at home would say a lot about Dallas and maybe even say a little bit more about Detroit as far as being a legitimate contender in the NFC. So I think if the Cowboys win at home against Detroit, it will kind of fulfill my expectation of what is supposed to happen. Yeah, exactly. Who the Lions are. That would kind of set my expectation right aligned with what's actually happening. So, yeah, I would take the Cowboys at home, and I want – will I be upset if the Detroit Lions win?
Want is a very tricky word.
It's a very tricky word. I wouldn't say that I'm going to be upset if the Lions win. Who are we
pulling towards? Sure, Dallas.
Yeah.
Want is the kicker there.
Do you want the 1 seed if you're the Eagles?
Yeah.
The reason I ask, the 1 seed will most likely, if Dallas is able to beat, say Tampa Bay 5 versus 4, Dallas, you would get the 2nd round, and then you would get San Fran the 3rd round, most likely, right? If they win the games they're supposed to. Whereas the 2 seed, you might be able to skip out on Dallas in the 2nd round.
Yeah, it is interesting. I just think to deny a bye and not have to put yourself in fear of playing anybody, and B, potential home field throughout where we've seen success like last year and everything. Yeah, okay, I get it. You could avoid Dallas and potentially play the Lions at on the road instead. But then that's another thing. You got to go to Detroit, right? Or no, that's the two. Never mind.
Well,
I'm
if
thinking 3 seed.
Detroit wins this game
Yeah,
this weekend and they secure the 2 seed, then
yeah,
you would have
we'd
to
have to
go
go to
as the
Detroit.
3
But
seed, go to
I
Detroit.
I do think it would be silly to pass up, A, eliminating a game in your path, and
Yeah,
B,
I agree.
saying at some point I'd rather go to San Francisco than have Brock Purdy come back here in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
I think that would be kind of silly. And who knows? Maybe Purdy and the Niners lose before that game even comes, and you see someone else in that game. So
the Rams game week
know.
18 for San Fran is very interesting because maybe San Fran feels they don't need it, whatever the case may be. The Rams
and the Rams definitely are looking for seeding and stuff. So yeah, man, that's one to keep an eye on. That's for sure,
man. Absolutely.
But let's get into our weekly pick'em segment here, Scotty. I believe you have the first overall pick to kick us off here. I believe we are including the Eagles in this segment because there are 14 games on this Sunday slate.
Yes, sir. So my first pick, I am going to go with the team we were just talking about. I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers.
Ooh.
12.5-point favorites against the Commanders. The reason I'm going with this one first here, I don't see the San Francisco 49ers dropping 2 in a row, and I especially don't see them dropping a game to the Washington Commanders. I actually think the Commanders are going to run into a very rowdy wrath of 49ers bounce back this week. And no fault to the Commanders here, but they're going to get the full potential of
no Sam Howell either. They've taken the reins out of
Sam Howell. Interesting enough. What is the point of that?
Why?
Right. Who else are you trying to see?
Aren't you still looking for things for him for the future? I get it. He's shown flashes this year, but you're 4-11. The kid came out and won 4 games. Is that enough to show you, to steer you in a direction with this quarterback draft? Unless they've already made up their mind. Maybe they have said, hey, let's lose the next 2 games, go 4-13, and we're keying in on someone else, and Sam Howell's not it.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. The Commanders don't have a ton to play for, like you just said. You kind of want the higher draft pick if you're them.
Right.
But it is interesting. Does Jacoby Brissett, for example,
he's a veteran,
maybe give them a better chance?
Yeah, I mean, hey, they've lost to guys before, right? They lost to DT. Hey, maybe Jacoby Brissett is that veteran game manager type of guy that finds a way to get the job done, right?
I'll go with the 49ers.
No, not a chance. Not a chance. Anyway, I'm not going to. We are rooting against Scotty's pick, I would say. But that's still not a bad first pick. But I'll go with the team. Listen, man, if you don't want to have faith with the team right here on my heart and you want to go with their competition, that's fine. Give me the Birds. Give me the Birds over the other bird. I'll go with the Eagles at home, 11-point favorites over the Cardinals. Jonathan Gannon's return to Philadelphia might be the loudest the Link has been all year, just out of pure hatred, at least to start the game. Give me the Eagles 6-1 at home, Cardinals 1-7 on the road. Talking about a team that's fighting to get back in Super Bowl aspirations versus a team that is just an abomination of a football team. So give me the Eagles, and they'll cover in this one as well, by the way.
I like it. They need to cover after that debacle against the Giants. But nonetheless, I do like the pick. I expect the Eagles to win at home as well. And I thought the comments from Nick Sirianni were interesting as well going into this game and the matchup with Jonathan Gannon.
We'll talk about him on this Friday morning show since we're recording, because I also thought some other comments by Nick Sirianni were interesting. So.
Nonetheless, I like the pick, man. We're definitely going to see the Birds take that W at home. They need it. I'm going to go with the Bills versus the New England Patriots. I know the Patriots they're coming off a big win, right, against the Broncos team that has now benched their starting quarterback, Russell Wilson. But I don't expect that trend to continue. I don't think the Patriots should be eager to win any more games, quite honestly. We'll see what's up with Bill Belichick come the end of this season if he decides to stay there or move on. There's been rumors about the Commanders, for God's sake. Don't know why you would leave that franchise to go to that one, but nonetheless, that's a story for down the road. I am going to take the Bills in a spot where, once again, they're still trying to get into the playoffs. They're trying to secure their spot. And I'm not sure. They're what, 9-6 right now. The Dolphins are 11-4. So there is a weird way where the Bills could potentially win this division if the Dolphins drop this game against Baltimore this weekend.
And the Bills win, and then week 18 they play. So
big showdown. So Bills, long story short, Bills trying to win something, trying to play for something, make it to the playoffs, win their division. The New England Patriots are not, and it is Bailey Zappi. They probably won a game they shouldn't have won, quite honestly, on Sunday night. So
I'd say so. And by the way, the New England Patriots have already beaten the Buffalo Bills on the season. So
yeah, good point. First week.
I don't think they're going to take two against that team with who they're throwing out there. For my second pick, man, go ahead, and this is just such a hypocritical move of me, but give me the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know I said all sorts of things are going wrong in Jacksonville right now, but the 2-13 winless on the road, Bryce Young led Carolina Panthers are not going into Jacksonville and winning this game. Jacksonville obviously fighting for their playoff lives, fighting for their division title. At least need to survive to week 18 with how things are shaping out.
Yeah.
They're not losing this one, okay? It feels like they've lost 18 in a row right now. They're not losing this game at home. And it's another 6.5 point line. I also think they'll cover. I think they're going to beat the dog shit out of the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, they're due for a bounce back game, man. And I can't disagree with you here against a team like the Carolina Panthers, who they've obviously struggled to win games or even stay competitive in games. So I expect the Jags to bounce back, but I will say this is one of those games that will obviously the Jags fans, if they look back on this game and they see the Jags losing this game, they'll look back on this as the game that lost them their playoff spot. Because if they don't win this game, they will not make the playoffs. That being said, I do think they will win the game. I agree with you. So, the Jags, man, they better answer some calls this weekend. I will say that. I'm going to go. This one was tough because I have two games in mind here. One, a game that we, have talked about a lot between our two previous episodes. And then there's a game with a team that the Eagles just played as well. I'm going to go with the Rams at home, on the road against the Giants as 5.5 point favorites. Once again, Matthew Stafford playing out of his mind right now, playing some really good football. We just watched the Rams kind of dismantle that New Orleans Saints pass defense last Thursday. I expect the Rams to keep those vibes going, keep that momentum going, and make this final push to get into the postseason. And they'll set themselves up with a huge matchup with the San Francisco 49ers in Week 18. The Giants are just going nowhere fast, man. Now, I think Tyrod Taylor, he showed us in that game against the Eagles, he probably gives them a better chance at winning games than Tommy Cutlets. But it's still Tyrod Taylor. It's still the lack of weapons there. On that offense for the Giants.
It's also a different story when you get to game plan for Tyrod Taylor for a week and know that's coming.
Not a division opponent like the Eagles that they're running into this week. And this is a Rams, a team that they just don't see very often. And we know what Sean McVay can do with that offense, and especially against this Giants team that's dwindled down. So I'll take the Rams, man, on the road.
I like it. Whew. Go to another divisional battle here. I'm going to go down to Tampa, and I'm going to stick on the Baker train, man. And this is where Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers put their stamp on the NFC South division over the 7-8 Saints. Give me Baker, give me Mike Evans, give me that defense, give me all of it. Derek Carr, whoever's playing quarterback for the New Orleans Saints is going to get turned over a couple times in this game. Give me the Bucs.
Yes, sir. I actually love the Bucs in that game as well. You mentioned it. Baker Mayfield's playing out of his mind. He's getting guys involved, Otten, Evans. But the big thing for me, man, the revelation of Rachaad White. That man seems to get into the end zone every weekend. He's very versatile. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can run it. So that's a team that, as we approach the playoffs, are actually starting to look like a more competent unit, a more dangerous unit, I would say. a team that's trying to secure home field advantage in the first round. So I like it, man. They're playing for something there. And like you said, this could be the tipping point for that division. My next pick, I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs, who we've talked a bunch about today. It's pretty straightforward why I'm going with the Chiefs in this situation. They can't afford to lose to Jake Browning in this Cincinnati Bengals team that came out. Yes, Jake Browning before this past week, and pretty much outside of playing the Steelers, he's looked pretty damn good. And this Bengals offense has looked pretty damn good. But I think this is kind of the curtain call in the Bengals season this weekend, and I think the Chiefs take care of business at home once again against the backup quarterback, right? Against a team that their backs on the wall, similar to the Raiders, and just simply a team that they should not lose to if they are truly a playoff team, truly at the top of the AFC, right? So looking for the Chiefs to bounce back. I don't know if they're going to cover that 7-point spread. It could end up being a close one, but I will take the Chiefs at home in this case.
I like it, man. I like it. And again, let's get to another divisional battle here for me. I am assuming that a rookie quarterback is playing, coming back off a concussion. The line would kind of tell me that he's playing, sitting at 5.5 right now. Give me CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans at home over Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans. If Will Levis and the Titans want to play spoiler, that's going to come in week 18 against Jacksonville in Tennessee. It will not be this week. The Texans will be fighting the Colts week 18 for that division, potentially. Give me CJ Stroud. Give me DeMeco Ryans at home. Yeah, I think that they get the job done coming off of a loss without CJ Stroud last week.
Yeah, I like it. They definitely picked up a little bit of momentum at the end of that game against the Browns. Made it a little closer than the Browns would like, I'm sure. But getting CJ Stroud back, like you said, that's going to make a world of difference for them. And this is a Tennessee team that the Texans should be able to take care of if they want to have a chance at the postseason, setting up a big matchup with the Colts in Week 18. So I'm with you there. I'm going to go and stay in that division, but I'm going to go in the opposite direction. I'm going to take the Raiders against the Colts. I do know this is a big spot for the Raiders to ultimately come back down to earth after beating the Kansas City Chiefs on the road on Christmas. But I think that would be the case against a better team. And I think, you look at the Colts, they've had an up and down season. They've shown, completely different ends of the spectrum when it comes to being a good football team or a bad one. I just think the Raiders kind of continue to build that momentum to end this season, getting wins that maybe they're not supposed to. I think the Chiefs is more of an example of that than this game per se, even though it is in Indy. I'm going to go with Antonio Pierce leading that Raiders team to another underdog victory on the road here against a Colts team that Gardner Minshew isn't supposed to be nearly as good as Patrick.
Yeah. No, I like it, man. And hear me out. If Aiden O'Connell goes on the road and gets this win this week, that puts the Las Vegas Raiders at 8-8 with a game left. I don't know who they play in Week 18, and honestly, but you look around that 7 seed picture. You look at the other guys in the AFC South that are 8-7, what they don't win their division.
Yeah.
You look at the Pittsburgh Steelers at 8-7. The Cincinnati Bengals are 8-7. The Broncos are now 7-8. Like that 7 seed, if they were to win and some other teams were to lose, the Raiders, I don't believe. Now, maybe it's coming. Maybe they are. Maybe I'm missing something and they're mathematically eliminated because of tiebreakers or whatever. The Raiders could have a chance to find themselves in a meaningful game in Week 18, man. But and yes, they play the Colts and then they play the Broncos, who have decided to sit Russell Wilson for the remainder of the year. It's in Vegas. So I'm just saying, both teams need it.
Keep an eye out.
Gardner, sure, the better quarterback. It's in Indy. But Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, you never know if a team can just outlast you a little bit.
That defense is playing ferocious, man. Like
Max
as much
Crosby,
as Kansas City,
man,
Kansas City definitely shot themselves in the foot, but that defense is part of it. They definitely were playing.
We'll see for sure. I respect the pick, man.
Thank you.
We are down to some interesting ones. All right. Oh God. All right. Take me to Sunday Night Football. Again, I'm sticking with the division rivals here. All right. I would have taken the Minnesota Vikings if between shows of recording, I did not see that Kevin O'Connell announced yet another quarterback change heading into this week. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't even remember the guy's name. I saw this tweet 25 minutes ago. I don't remember his name. Wall? Something Wall? I don't know.
Wall, Hall, something like that.
I don't know what's happening. Meanwhile, on the other side, Jair Alexander's going out to the coin toss when he's not even elected a captain. He's suspended. Shit's weird on both sides. Both teams technically...
I didn't even hear about that. That's wild.
Yeah. Both teams need the win to even stay in the race. I know I'm not the biggest Jordan Love fan. And at times he's proved me right. At times he's proved me wrong. He's just got to do enough against a quarterback who probably doesn't belong to be playing in week 17 in the National Football League. So give me the Packers on the road.
Yeah, that's actually who I went with in that game as well. I actually was going to go with the Packers before I even heard about that quarterback change, even though Nick Mullins, he's put up some big passing numbers, but he's turned the ball over a lot, I guess. I don't know what they're doing in Minnesota, to be quite honest, but I agree with the Packers pick nonetheless. Got what, 4 games left to pick from here?
Yeah, man. No, is there? There's 1, 2. Yeah, there's 4.
All right, I'm going to go with the Ravens at home against the Dolphins, man. This is going to be a big matchup. If Miami could potentially win this game on the road against Baltimore, it could really throw things into a whirlwind in the AFC. But I don't think they're going to. Obviously, this is a big letdown spot for the Ravens coming off the big win on the road against San Fran. But just how physical the Ravens play, man. I don't know. I'm curious what you feel in this game, although I am going with the Ravens early here. I think them being at home is what kind of solidifies it for me. I think the Ravens are the better team overall, but them being at home is what gives me confidence to take them here in the spot.
I think what happens this weekend is the epitome of what we've said all year about the Miami Dolphins. Just not being tough enough. Like we gave them credit, right? Even though it was bad Cowboys play, you were at home, you beat a Cowboys team. All right. Haven't beaten anyone. All their losses have come against the good teams on the record. They're more physical teams on the record. You want to talk about physical? On the road. No, it's a 4:00 game, but it's going to be dark in Baltimore by the time it's halftime or before.
Yeah.
Cold, basically January weather. That defense, what they just did against the Niners offense. I was going to say Brock Purdy, but who are we kidding? The Niners offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't listen. I'm not saying that Miami can't make it a game. Hell, last year, what was it? Week 2, week 1, when Miami came down by like 28-14, 2 it through for like 500 yards. They beat the Ravens on the there's a chance. I don't see it. I think that the Ravens get to Tua, and I think that they're able to play their style of football and come away with a win. But nonetheless, it's probably. I mean, it's probably the best game of the weekend, right? I would say.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
big game nonetheless.
Cowboys and Lions, but Sunday for sure. Definitely.
Actually, it's a 1:00 game, so not necessarily dark. But why would that be a 1:00 game?
Why would that be the 1:00? Why would that not be
in the age where you're flexing shit out? Why would that be a 1:00 game? While Easton Stick and the Broncos, with God knows who playing a quarterback, is a 4:00 game. Now, granted, I know the Chiefs and Bengals are probably the game because that was expected to be a huge matchup when the year started. That'll probably be the nationally televised one on CBS. But like now you look at the Chiefs issues, Jake Browning, why would you not flex it? Why would you not change out that game for who's fighting for the number 1 seed? That makes
weird.
No sense.
It's like some Chiefs bias there.
Or hell, dude, why would you not flex out the Sunday night game? Let me ask you that.
I agree. Who is it? The Chargers and Broncos?
No, Sunday night is the Packers and Vikings.
Either one of those games. So I agree, man. Do you think the winner of this, could the MVP be decided by this game, do you think? That's with in mind Lamar Jackson MVP candidate, Tyreek Hill MVP candidate.
Yeah, I don't think Tyreek Hill's winning MVP. I'm not saying he doesn't have a case for it, but they just don't really do it, man. It's almost impossible. And I think if Lamar wins this game, and not necessarily even like balls out like last week. Like, what do you have? 250 passing, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers.
No
If he does stuff like that, wins this game, secures the 1 seed, yeah, I think that Lamar Jackson is most likely your MVP. And let's be honest, it's not even Lamar Jackson's best season. I think Lamar Jackson has had better seasons, not even winning an MVP. Yeah. Again, it's been the storyline of the year, just by almost default. Like, it's him obviously getting the job done, but Mahomes isn't playing at MVP level.
Yeah.
Burrow out. Hurts, Allen, Dak, all too inconsistent.
Yeah.
Purdy, get fucking real. Like, it's just... So I think if Lamar secures the 1 seed, they win out, they beat Miami this week. Yeah, I'd say it probably puts him as the odds-on favorite.
I think, ultimately for me right now, I think CMC would be my MVP personally. Yeah. But I do agree with you. It's just not likely that we see a non-quarterback. Like, unless, Tyreek Hill is to go for like over 200 yards this week against the Ravens and like lead the Dolphins to a W against the best team in the league record-wise, maybe you could see a case heat up for him. But I agree with you, man. They're just not prone to giving it to somebody outside of the quarterback position. So, and I do think if they did, it wouldn't be Tyreek Hill. It would be CMC. I think that would be where they lean. And I think that kind of makes sense as well.
I agree, man. Let's see. 3 games to pick from.
3 left, man.
Whoop-dee.
Just throw something at the wall.
All right, let's have some fun. Take me to Chicago. Give me Justin Fields and the Bears at home over what I'm assuming is Taylor Heineke, right? He won a game.
I think so.
I would assume that means he gets to play this week, even though Arthur Smith likes to go back and forth after every loss. Give me Fields and the Bears at home. Taylor Heineke got his 1 win, a big win at that with this team. 2 wins in a row for them seems crazy. They're 2-5 on the road. The Bears technically still, I don't know. I thought they could still have it. I don't know if they mathematically do or not. But give me the Bears. I think their defense is good enough to slow down Heineke. I think Fields will make plays, and they'll probably win the ugliest game of the afternoon.
Yeah, I do like the Bears in this matchup as well, man. For all the reasons you listed, but also just like the dynamic ability of Justin Fields. I think when you're down in the depths of teams like the Falcons and the Bears here, I think that's when you see a guy like Justin Fields make a real difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he, maybe he's trying out for the Falcons, right, in this game. Maybe that's the move there. Maybe he gets shipped over to Atlanta. I would like to see that, but yeah,
that would be a lot of fun.
Chicago Bears are winning games that like don't matter. It's weird, and but I feel like they're playing these games hard as hell right now.
They
are. I would give the Bears the lead.
And their defense weirdly keeps them in some games. So
they're not a good to great defense, but they do keep them competitive somehow.
They create turnovers, like we said against Flacco. They picked them off 3 times. They picked Josh Dobbs off 4 times. I think he had 5. Like they could find a way against Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you there, man. My last pick of the slate, man, this one is a complete toss-up. I think you could go either way, and I would say the same for the last game here, that you'll get the honor to pick between. But I am going to go with the Seahawks at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers here. Like I said, this is a toss-up. I could see the Steelers ultimately winning this game somehow. With the way that defense is played. If Mason Rudolph is anything close to what he was against Cincinnati, getting George Pickens involved, that was the best I've seen from wide receiver play from the Pittsburgh Steelers all season. And quarterback play, quite honestly, down the field throwing. We'll see if that sticks. But I'm going to go with the Seahawks at home. Geno Smith back on the field. And the Seahawks, along with the Steelers, both of these teams playing to get into the playoffs right now. So it will be highly competitive. Just going with the Seahawks with that home field advantage, man. And the better quarterback, right? The better quarterback play, the better offense. But we'll see what wins here, offense or defense, man. Mm-hmm. It'll be a tough
one. Okay. Jesus Christ.
Jarrett Stidham.
That's who's starting? Okay. I just wanted to know who was starting for Denver.
Or who's the guy?
I'm not going with Jarrett Stidham. Give me Easton Stick, bro.
Easton Stick. That's the guy.
Come on. He almost just led them to victory on the road against the Buffalo Bills. Are you kidding me? Now, in all seriousness, I will go with the Chargers and Easton Stick in this one. Obviously, he's got a little bit more playing time over the last couple of weeks than Jarrett Stidham does. Yeah, you give the edge to Denver's defense, but do they even care? Like, you're benching your $150 million quarterback that you're apparently releasing come springtime. It's just a disaster. Like, you know what's funny about Denver, man? We thought they were a disaster. We thought Sean Payton and Russell Wilson wouldn't work. They overpaid Russ. Russ isn't cooking, yada, yada, yada. And then they trick you for about 4 or 5 weeks in the middle of the season. Oh, my God, they could actually, like, potentially catch Kansas City with the way they beat Kansas, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay.
Sure.
That was fun while it lasted. The Chargers are a mess as well, firing their head coach, their GM, a bunch of other pieces. They've quit as well, 5 wins on the year. But, hey, when you got a kid like Easton Stick who doesn't care, like, he's not out there to just throw the game. He's not going out there with the mindset of, it doesn't really matter. He's trying to show something. I mean, as is Jarrett Stidham, but no one cares about Jarrett Stidham. He's been around for a little bit. Easton Stick, at least, is a little younger. Well, a lot younger, I would say.
And Denver doesn't have any weapons, man. Like, week after week,
right.
We got
as long as Eckler and I don't know, like, as long as those guys are playing, give me that offense there. So yeah, give me the Chargers, all right, as my last pick. If I go 6-1, I'll be extremely satisfied.
Yeah, this slate is interesting, man. There's a lot of.
It's a good one. I think it's a pretty good slate.
Yeah, it is. It is a pretty good slate. A lot of games that could go either way, I would say. And a lot of like reality check games, right? Like from the Jags against the Panthers, like a reality check. Are you a playoff team or not? Because if you want to be a playoff team, beat the goddamn Carolina Panthers, man.
Sure.
But there's a bunch of games like that this weekend. Obviously, the Bills needing to take care of business against New England. Rams on the road against the Giants, right? They can solidify themselves in the playoff standings. Chiefs against Cincinnati. That's your Sunday night game there. Or no, excuse me. We get Minnesota and Detroit.
No, yeah, you get
or not Detroit, Green Bay. God damn.
Yeah.
Get the
ball. Jordan Love and something why I don't know. Dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll tell you one thing. It's Christmas Eve or no, yeah, it's Christmas New Year's Eve, excuse me. Yeah, as if I'm watching that game.
Yeah, I'll be having some drinks and blocking that game out.
Black it out. Anyway, with that said, guys, that is going to wrap up this Sunday edition of NFL Turf Talk here on the DSM Turf Talk YouTube channel. If you're new to the channel, if you like the content, if you want to support, make sure to do so by smashing the subscribe button on this YouTube channel. It's the best spot to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up here on the screen with us. For myself and Scotty, we will be back this upcoming Thursday, breaking down all of the Week 17 action and heading in to the final week at 18 before NFL playoffs are right back here with us. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the new year. We'll talk